The human vessel Artemis drifted silently through the void, its weathered hull bearing the scars of countless micrometeorite impacts. To any observer, the ship appeared obsolete, a relic of humanity's early ventures into deep space. Captain Thomas Reed stood at the command center, his weathered hands resting on the ship's manual control panel, a feature that often drew confused looks from alien visitors. "Sir, we're picking up multiple signatures approaching from the Carina sector," Lieutenant Maria Santos reported, her eyes fixed on the sensor display. The readings showed 3 sleek vessels approaching at high speed, their energy signatures unlike anything in their database. Reed nodded, maintaining his characteristic calm. "Classification: unknown, sir, but their energy output suggests extremely advanced technology. They're scanning us." The approaching vessels belonged to the Naxian Empire, a species that had achieved faster-than-light travel centuries before humans had launched their first satellite. Their ships gleamed with an otherworldly blue glow, their hulls constructed from materials that seemed to bend light itself. Aboard the lead Naxian vessel, High Commander Vren observed the human ship with obvious disdain. His crystalline eyes narrowed as the scan results appeared before him. "This primitive vessel dares to venture into Imperial space." Vren's voice carried the characteristic melodic tone of his species, though it dripped with contempt. "Their hull is composed of basic alloys. Their propulsion system appears to be a standard fusion drive. How did they even reach this sector?" His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Kira, studied the readings with more curiosity. "They appear to be operating well beyond their expected range, Commander. Perhaps there's more to their capabilities than our scans suggest." Vren dismissed her concerns with a wave of his elongated fingers. "You give these humans too much credit, Kira. Their technological advancement is barely worth noting. They still rely on physical controls rather than neural interfaces. Primitive." Back on the Artemis, Reed watched the alien vessels circling his ship like predators, sizing up their prey. He recognized the tactics. He'd seen them before. The Naxians were known for their technological superiority, and their tendency to demonstrate it at every opportunity. "They're hailing us, Captain," Santos announced. "On screen," Reed ordered, straightening his uniform. The image of High Commander Vren appeared before them, his silvery skin and elongated features marking him as one of the Naxian elite. "Human vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your presence here is a violation of Imperial decree." Reed maintained a diplomatic tone. "Commander, we're on a peaceful exploration mission. Our charts show this as unclaimed space." Vren's expression shifted to one of amused condescension. "Your outdated charts, perhaps. This sector has been under Naxian control for the past solar cycle. Though I'm not surprised your modest vessel lacks current navigational data." The bridge crew of the Artemis exchanged knowing glances. They'd encountered this kind of arrogance before, and it usually ended the same way. "We'll gladly update our charts and withdraw," Reed offered, his hand discreetly signaling his crew to begin preparations. "No need for this to escalate." Vren's laughter echoed through the communication channel. "Escalate? Your vessel couldn't pose a threat to a Naxian mining drone. However, we must ensure you understand the consequences of your transgression. Consider this a lesson in respecting Imperial authority." As the transmission ended, the Naxian vessels began moving into attack formation. Their weapon systems powered up, creating a beautiful but deadly light show against the backdrop of space. Reed remained calm, even as warning signals flashed across his console. He pressed a single button on his archaic-looking control panel, initiating a sequence that had been waiting dormant since the Artemis first left Earth's orbit. "All hands," he announced, his voice steady and assured. "Prepare to show our friends why appearances can be deceiving." The Naxians were about to learn a lesson that many had learned before them. Human ingenuity was anything but primitive, and underestimating Earth's technology was often the last mistake an enemy would make. The 3 Naxian warships moved with fluid grace, their formations perfect as they prepared to teach the seemingly primitive human vessel a lesson. High Commander Vren watched with satisfaction as his ship's weapon systems came online, their advanced targeting systems locking onto the Artemis's vulnerable points. "Such crude construction," Vren mused, studying the human ship's exposed hull plating. "They haven't even developed basic energy shielding. This will be over quickly." The first shots from the Naxian vessels streaked across space. Brilliant lances of plasma energy designed to disable the Artemis's main systems. But something unexpected happened. Instead of impacting the hull, the energy weapons seemed to disperse harmlessly across an invisible barrier. Impossible, Vren hissed, his crystalline eyes widening. The scans showed no shield technology. On the bridge of the Artemis, Captain Reed allowed himself a small smile. Status report, Lieutenant Santos. Shield absorption at optimal levels, sir, Santos replied, her fingers dancing across what appeared to be an outdated console. The energy from their weapons is being redirected to our secondary systems, just as designed. The Naxian commander's voice crackled through their communication system, anger replacing his previous condescension. What trickery is this? Your vessel's capabilities were clearly indicated by our scans. Ah, yes, Reed responded calmly. About those scans, we found that sometimes the best defense is letting others see exactly what they expect to see. The Artemis's outer hull began to shift, sections that had appeared to be simple armor plating reconfiguring themselves with fluid precision. What had seemed like battle damage and wear transformed into sophisticated sensor arrays and weapon ports. Sub-Commander Kira's voice carried a note of alarm. Commander, I'm detecting massive power fluctuations from the human vessel. Their energy signature is evolving. Impossible. Vren slammed his elongated hand against his command console. No ship can mask its true nature from our scanning technology. The humans are centuries behind us. Reed's voice came through again, this time with a hint of amusement. You know, Commander, humanity learned something important during our early space exploration. When you're the newcomers in a hostile galaxy, it's sometimes better to be underestimated. The Artemis's transformation continued. Panels that had appeared to be primitive heat shields revealed themselves as advanced metamaterial surfaces capable of bending both light and energy. The manual controls that had drawn such derision morphed into sophisticated hybrid interfaces combining human intuition with AI precision. All weapons free, Reed commanded. Show them what an outdated human warship can do. The Artemis response was devastating. Targeted electromagnetic pulses disrupted the Naxian ship's neural interfaces, forcing their crews to fall back on backup systems they rarely used. Quantum-locked particle beams, technology the Naxians had thought impossible for humans to achieve, lanced out with surgical precision, disabling the enemy vessel's primary weapon arrays. How? Vren demanded, his ship shuddering under the assault. Your species barely has faster-than-light capability. That's where you're wrong, Commander, Reed replied. We've had it for longer than you think. We just learned early on that there's value in keeping some cards close to our chest. The Artemis moved with unexpected agility, its hull seeming to phase through space in ways that defied the Naxians' understanding of physics. What they had dismissed as primitive fusion engines revealed themselves to be something far more sophisticated. A hybrid drive system that combined multiple technologies in ways their scientists had never considered. Sir, Santos reported, their shields are adapting to our attacks, but not quickly enough. Their power grid is destabilizing. Reed nodded. Target their engines. Let's end this before anyone gets hurt. The Artemis's next volley was precisely calculated. Energy beams struck key points on the Naxian vessels, causing their propulsion systems to shut down, but carefully avoiding any critical damage. As the Naxian ships drifted powerless in space, Vren stared at his dead console in disbelief. Everything he had believed about human technology had been wrong. Their seemingly primitive vessel had not only survived his attack, but had completely outmaneuvered his advanced warships. Your ships will regain power in approximately 10 minutes, Reed informed him. That should give you time to consider the benefits of not judging a book by its cover. That's an old human saying you might want to look up. This isn't possible, Vren whispered, more to himself than anyone else. The Empire's intelligence reports are exactly what we wanted them to be, Reed finished for him. Consider this a lesson in respecting not just imperial authority, but the ingenuity of species you might think beneath you. The Artemis began to move away, its true nature still visible, a testament to human innovation and strategic thinking. Behind it, the Naxian ships floated helplessly, their crews coming to terms with a humbling realization. They had gravely underestimated humanity's capabilities, and the galaxy's balance of power might never be the same. The news of the Artemis's victory spread through the Naxian Empire like wildfire. In the Grand Council chamber of the Imperial Palace, Voices rose in anger and disbelief as High Commander Vren's report was played for the assembled leaders. First speakers all. The highest authority in the Empire sat motionless on his crystalline throne as the recording ended. His ancient eyes, which had witnessed centuries of Naxian dominance, now held something unfamiliar: uncertainty. "This changes everything," Zhao announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. "If the humans have managed to conceal such technological advancement, what else might they be hiding?" Meanwhile, the Artemis continued its mission. Though Captain Reed knew their encounter with the Naxian ships had set larger events in motion. In his private quarters, he reviewed the after-action reports with Commander Sarah Chen, his chief engineer. "The adaptive camouflage performed better than expected," Chen reported, projecting a hologram of the ship's systems. "The Naxians never realized our hull's quantum metamaterial structure was absorbing and analyzing their scanning frequencies in real time." Reed nodded, studying the complex data streams. "And the energy absorption systems exceeded specifications." Chen's eyes lit up with pride. "Every shot they fired essentially gave us more power to work with. The old saying about turning weakness into strength, we literally engineered it." The ship's AI, designated HumaniTInSpace, joined their conversation through the neural interface that the Naxians had dismissed as primitive manual controls. "Captain, we're detecting multiple ships entering the sector. Signature analysis suggests they're not Naxian." On the bridge, Lieutenant Santos' console lit up with new data. The approaching vessels belonged to the Drachnid Consortium, another major power that had long looked down on human technology. Like the Naxians, they were about to learn some harsh lessons about appearances. "They're hailing us," Santos reported. "Their commander is requesting permission to approach." Reed allowed himself a small smile. Word traveled fast in space, it seemed. Grant their request. Let's show them humanity's true face. The Drachnid ships approached cautiously, their usually aggressive stance notably absent. Their leader, War Chief Corax, appeared on the main screen. Unlike the Naxians' crystalline features, the Drachnids were reptilian, their scaled faces marked with ceremonial scars. "Human vessel Artemis," Corax began, his tone respectful. "We come seeking understanding. Your encounter with the Naxian force has raised many questions. We're happy to provide answers," Reed replied diplomatically, "though some might surprise you." As the Drachnid delegation boarded the Artemis, they were escorted through sections of the ship that no longer needed to maintain the pretense of primitive technology. Commander Chen led the tour, explaining systems that challenged everything the aliens thought they knew about human capabilities. "This isn't just a ship," Chen explained, gesturing to the surrounding technology. "It's a testament to human ingenuity. These walls, quantum-entangled nanomaterials that can adapt their properties in real time. Our AI, it doesn't just assist us, it evolves with us, learning and growing in ways your neural networks haven't considered." War Chief Corax stopped at a viewing port, watching as the ship's outer hull shifted like liquid metal. "Why maintain the deception? With such technology, you could have demanded respect from the start." Reed joined them, his expression serious. "Respect demanded is rarely respect earned. We chose to let our actions speak louder than appearances. It's a human trait that served us well. Patience." In the ship's engineering section, Chen demonstrated the true nature of their propulsion system. What had appeared to be simple fusion drives were actually quantum-slit space engines, capable of manipulating the fabric of spacetime in ways that made traditional FTL travel look primitive. "Your species," Corax observed, "has mastered the art of deception through humility." "A dangerous combination." "Not deception," Reed corrected. "Strategy. Throughout human history, we've learned that sometimes the best way to advance is to let others underestimate you. It gives you room to grow, to innovate without pressure or interference." As the tour continued, more secrets of human innovation were revealed. The seemingly crude manual controls were actually complex quantum interface systems that combined human intuition with AI processing in ways the aliens had never imagined. The battle-scarred hull was a sophisticated sensor network that could gather more data about nearby space than entire Drachnid science vessels. Back in the conference room, Corax and his officers sat in stunned silence as they processed everything they'd seen. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just catching up to the galactic powers, they had quietly surpassed them in many ways. "Your ship," Corax finally said, is not just a vessel. It's a message to the galaxy. Reed nodded. A message that perhaps it's time for the various species to stop measuring each other by their assumptions and start learning from their differences. The galaxy is vast, War Chief Corax, and no single species has all the answers. As the Drachnid delegation prepared to depart, the true impact of humanity's revelation was just beginning to ripple through the galaxy. The age of underestimating humanity was over, and a new era of galactic politics was about to begin. The Naxian Imperial Palace buzzed with frantic activity. First Speaker Jal had called an emergency session of the High Council, something that hadn't happened in over 3 centuries. The revelation of humanity's true technological capabilities had sent shockwaves through the Empire's carefully ordered hierarchy. Our entire strategic position must be reevaluated, Admiral Nexus declared, his holographic form flickering above the council table. The humans don't just have one ship like the Artemis. Our latest intelligence suggests their entire fleet has similar capabilities. The council chamber erupted in chaos. The thought of an entire human fleet with technology that could outmatch their own was almost too much to comprehend. First Speaker Jal raised his hand for silence, his ancient eyes heavy with concern. We've made a grave miscalculation, he announced. While we were busy looking down on their primitive technology, the humans were studying us, learning our weaknesses, and developing countermeasures we never imagined possible. Meanwhile, aboard the Artemis, Captain Reed received a priority transmission from Earth Command. The holographic figure of Admiral Helena Rivera appeared in his ready room, her expression serious. The Naxians are mobilizing their fleet, Thomas, she reported. Our monitoring stations have detected movement across all their major military installations. They're scared, and scared empires make dangerous decisions. Reed nodded grimly. They're realizing that every human ship they've dismissed as outdated might be just as advanced as the Artemis. The psychological impact alone. Exactly, Rivera confirmed. Which is why we're implementing Protocol Omega. It's time to show them everything. Throughout human space, vessels that had maintained the appearance of technological inferiority began to change. Like butterflies emerging from chrysalises, ships shed their primitive disguises, revealing the true extent of human innovation. The Naxian surveillance networks watched in growing alarm as human vessels transformed. Cargo ships revealed themselves to be heavily armed cruisers. Research vessels displayed weapon systems that defied known physics. Even the humble mining platforms that dotted human territory showed their true nature as sophisticated defense installations. Commander Chen stood with Captain Reed on the Artemis bridge, watching the transformation of the human fleet on their main display. It's beautiful, isn't it? Everything working exactly as designed. The greatest deception, Reed mused, was letting them think they knew our limits. The Drachnid Consortium, having witnessed the Artemis's capabilities firsthand, made a bold move. War Chief Corax addressed his people, announcing an immediate alliance with humanity. Other species, long relegated to the margins of galactic politics by the Naxian Empire, began to see an opportunity for change. In the Naxian Imperial Palace, the situation grew more tense by the hour. Sub-Commander Kira, promoted after Vren's disgrace, presented her analysis to the High Council. The humans didn't just develop advanced technology, she explained. They created systems we never even thought to pursue because we were so convinced of our own superiority. Their ships don't just match our capabilities, they represent entirely new approaches to space travel and combat. First Speaker Jal leaned forward on his crystalline throne. Can we match them? No, Kira admitted. Not quickly. They've had years to perfect these technologies while we remained ignorant of their existence. But more importantly, we don't understand how they think. Every assumption we made about human innovation was wrong. The Artemis, now serving as humanity's flagship for diplomatic relations, received a transmission from the Naxian Empire. It was a formal request for peaceful negotiations, something unprecedented in Naxian history. They're learning, Reed observed as he read the message. Perhaps faster than we expected. Lieutenant Santos looked up from her station. Sir, we're receiving similar requests from 12 other species. It seems everyone wants to know humanity's secrets now. Reed smiled, remembering all the times the Artemis had been mocked for its apparently outdated design. Send them all the same response. Humanity welcomes peaceful dialogue with any species willing to approach as equals. As the message was transmitted, the Artemis's true form gleamed in the starlight, its advanced hull materials shifting with subtle iridescence. The ship that had been dismissed as primitive now stood as a symbol of humanity's patient strategy and innovative spirit. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, not through force or conquest, but through humanity's careful planning and willingness to be underestimated. As Reed looked out at the stars, he knew that the real challenge was just beginning. Teaching the galaxy that true strength lies not in appearances or assumptions, but in the ability to learn, adapt, and grow together. The Great Hall of Harmony, a newly constructed facility in neutral space, hosted the first Galactic Cooperative Summit. Representatives from 27 species gathered to witness something unprecedented: the full revelation of humanity's technological achievements and their vision for the future. Captain Reed stood at the podium, facing an audience that just months ago would have dismissed humanity as barely worth noting. Now they listened with rapt attention as he began his address. For centuries, humanity looked up at the stars and dreamed, he began. When we finally reached them, we found a galaxy divided by prejudice and assumptions about technological superiority. We chose a different path. Commander Chen activated a holographic display, showing the true nature of human innovation. The gathered delegates watched in amazement as layer after layer of humanity's technological deception was peeled away. Our greatest achievement wasn't the technology itself, Chen explained, but our understanding that true advancement comes from learning from everyone, even those you think have nothing to teach. In the audience, First Speaker Zhal of the Naxian Empire sat beside War Chief Korax of the Drachnid Consortium. Former rivals, they now shared a common purpose: understanding how they had so completely misjudged humanity's potential. The Artemis was never just a ship, Reed continued. It was a test, not of technology, but of character. Those who dismissed it as primitive revealed their own limitations. Those who looked deeper saw the truth, that appearance and reality are often very different things. The holographic display showed the Artemis's transformation once again, but this time revealing the philosophical principles behind each innovation. The quantum metamaterial hull wasn't just for deception. It was designed to adapt and learn from every encounter. The hybrid AI systems weren't merely for control. They were built to bridge understanding between different forms of consciousness. Admiral Rivera, representing Earth Command, took the stage. We're not here to dominate or to prove superiority. We're here to propose a new way forward. Our technology isn't just advanced. It's designed to be shared, to evolve through cooperation rather than competition. The announcement sent murmurs through the assembled delegates. The idea of sharing rather than hoarding technological advances was radical in a galaxy long divided by technological nationalism. Lieutenant Santos, now promoted to commander, presented data showing how human innovations could be integrated with other species' technologies. Every species has something unique to offer, she explained. Our greatest strength isn't in standing alone, but in finding ways to work together. In the days that followed, the implications of humanity's approach became clear. Their technology wasn't just advanced, it was designed to be compatible with and enhance the innovations of other species. The Artemis itself had incorporated elements from dozens of different civilizations, improved through human ingenuity and insight. First Speaker Zhal approached Reed after the summit's final session. We thought we were teaching you a lesson about respect for authority, the ancient Naxian admitted. Instead, you taught us about the danger of assumptions and the value of humility. Reed smiled. The greatest discoveries often come when we're willing to question our most basic assumptions about what's possible. The Artemis, now recognized as the flagship of this new cooperative era, prepared for its next mission. But this time, it carried a crew not just of humans, but of representatives from various species, each bringing their own unique perspectives and innovations. As they prepared to depart, Commander Chen made one final modification to the ship's systems. The adaptive hull now displayed a new symbol, a representation of different species technologies working in harmony, with humanity's contribution serving as a bridge between them. You know, Reed said to his now diverse crew, there's an old human saying, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Perhaps that's the most important lesson we can teach the galaxy. The Artemis departed the Great Hall of Harmony, its true form now visible for all to see. But its greatest strength wasn't in its advanced technology or powerful weapons. It was in what it represented. The possibility that different species could work together, learn from each other, and create something greater than any could achieve alone. As the ship engaged its quantum-slit space drive, the light of distant stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where appearance mattered less than potential, where cooperation trumped competition, and where the greatest power came not from domination, but from the wisdom to learn from everyone, even those you once thought had nothing to teach.